Welcome to That Heartbreak Hogs podcast. If you are new here, please consider hitting that thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. Please comment down below your thoughts on our takes. And with that being said, we are going to head into the video that you came here for. Well, everybody, we're back. We took a break for a little while. To be honest with you, it just would have gotten too negative. It was really hard to take any positives, and we didn't want to be that podcast. A lot of other podcasts were doing it for us, being super negative about everything, and we were just going to wait it out a little bit. You can say, that, oh, we're only here whenever, the Hogs are doing good. We were watching. We were keeping tabs. We were watching. We watched every game. We didn't stop watching the games. But there's just... I don't know. I just didn't want to put all the smoke in. I don't think you did either, Sid. It just kind of seemed like that. Let's wait. Let's see what happens, and let's get back on it whenever things start rolling, getting in a better direction. Because I don't want anybody here thinking that we stopped watching Arkansas or anything like that. We were still watching the Hogs. But Sid, what was your take on just from where we kind of stopped recording, kind of things dropped off a little bit, and then until the Kentucky game? Go through your emotions, man. Like, what? Just threw it all on your side of it, because that was more, I guess, my side of it.
Yeah. Listen, we were, as you know, we've talked about it in the previous videos. We were so excited for this season.
Yeah.
And to go through the season with the Cal hire, with just with January starting, we're like, let's see how this season goes, and continuously talking about it.
Yep.
Well, the Heartbreak Hogs, the name of this podcast, was
trying to change the narrative around here.
Was taken very literally, where week after week,
yeah,
our hearts kept breaking, and it was just tough to talk about. And like Ross mentioned, it's the same old, where we weren't seeing anything that would have us being like we weren't seeing any optimism. I would say, at least I wasn't seeing any optimism. And until Kentucky, and that, I know it's not big, and Kentucky just lost by a decent amount, and we'll talk about that, but it gave me optimism. It gave me that Coach Cal still has a little fire underneath him, and that's why we're back, and that's why we want to continue talking about these Hogs and the future, as just that one win kind of lit a spark, right? Hopefully for the whole team, but it did for me as a fan, for sure. And I'm hoping it continues throughout this season and throughout these next couple games to kind of get our momentum back up, especially after losing these tough games. I'm hoping the games we've got coming up continues that spark, continues those fans brings these fans back in that were gone, that kind of gave up on this team.
Right.
Because as Razorback fans, we do love the Hogs. We obviously want them to win every single game.
Right.
But you have to give us hope.
Right. Yeah, it just was, it was tough just seeing everything. It just looked like that Boogie Fland was getting injured. There was drama about tickets, season ticket holders, them not filling up Bud Walton Arena, Cal not talking enough to the press and talking to the fans. And it just seemed like this big disconnect was getting larger and larger. And it was just like, man, each video is just going to be the same old topic over and over again. And let's wait. Let's see what happens. And then, they got their first SEC win. And then they had an opportunity to get another win against Oklahoma. So we were at 0-5, and then we got our first win at 0-5, and then we went 1-5. When we got our first SEC win, Sid and I almost recorded another video, but we were like, okay, let's get one more win, let's get some momentum, and let's come back at it hard. And then Oklahoma was a letdown, and it was like, all right. All right. Okay.
Well,
So
we had beat Georgia too.
right.
I
So that's
saw,
the first
but
SEC win is Georgia.
right. I think we just again wanted to see more, and I think this Arkansas Kentucky game was more of a view to
Well, it was on
the
the road
nation.
too.
Um,
And
and the
everybody was
nation cared
watching.
about it, right? Everybody was
Mm-hmm.
watching, not just Arkansas fans, not just Kentucky fans, but
Right.
everybody kind of, even if you're not a basketball fan, you were watching just to kind of
Right.
see because you
It was
know about
prime
Coach
time. There
Cal.
was a story behind it, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's why this was a much bigger SEC win than that Georgia one.
Right. And they
Yeah.
packed Rupp Arena. Like they were talking about throughout the broadcast how it was one of the most loudest environments ever at Rupp, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and just it was a big time environment. And Kentucky fans, they admitted that this was a big deal to them. They wanted to see their team squash Cal and prove that they were right in telling us that Cal was washed, Cal's prime had passed, and that
Oh, did
you
you see that
know,
reporter that before the game that she was like,
you don't show
Coach
up to the
Cal
club with
with
the
the
downgrade.
downgrade?
Yeah.
Yeah, talking about Coach Cal. Oh man, that was
Yeah.
even sweeter.
Oh yeah. It was awesome, man. Like I ignored a lot of my friends' texts about the game. I was kind of quiet about it, and I was just like, Cal,
Yeah,
he gets big wins at this time of the year. Maybe he can pull something out, but I'm going to keep quiet about it. I'm not going to say anything to anybody. I've got Kentucky fans texting me going like, hey, I got Kentucky. You want to put a little
I had
wager
no
on
faith,
it?
honestly. Like with our
I was
season gone,
like,
I had no faith.
nope. Didn't respond to him. Didn't respond to a lot of stuff on X,
Right.
formerly known as Twitter. And but I bookmarked some things and went back and let everybody know that we were still here after the game. But dude, I have a lot more confidence now after watching them go on the road and doing that. However, I keep looking over because as we are watching this, or as we are recording this episode, the Kentucky Ole Miss game is ending. And the final score, it looks like, is going to be 98 to 84. That's 14-point win by Ole Miss. And at one point, I believe that it was about 30 points that Ole Miss was up on them. I now have a little bit of concern going into the Texas game, but let's live it up. Great win. Let's see what we can do after this, man. And we can touch more on the actual Kentucky game before moving on to the next.
Mm-hmm.
But like my first impressions, we'll get first impressions of like the win is no way. They didn't just do this. Because it's still like it felt like the whole game is like, when are they going to let go of this thing and lose?
I felt that as well.
Did you feel that?
Yeah, I
I
felt
was
that
like,
as well.
when is
I
it
was
going to
like,
happen?
oh no, it's gonna be that.
Oh
Yeah.
no, this.
I was just waiting.
I was
Yeah.
telling my dad. I went over to my family to watch the game, and I was like, man, it'll be nice if I was like, I'm going to be there a little bit late. I'm not going to make tip off, but hopefully by the time that I get there, the game isn't already over. But at the same time, hopefully we don't lead at the half and then blow a lead in the second half. And I was like, I don't know which one's going to be worse. I guess maybe get it over with. Just don't blow a big lead or anything. And so I get there. Then we go up by one at half. And it's like, oh my gosh, we're up. We're up at half. Then the second half comes. We're still up. And it's just like, then Kentucky's kind of coming back. And it's like, oh no, oh no. But then Arkansas holds it and then gets in double digits and never really looks back from there. Kentucky couldn't hit clutch free throws, couldn't hit clutch threes, and they tried everything they could with the review booth. They wanted every single thing reviewed, and it got all reviewed. But man, I think regardless if Kentucky just lost by 14, regardless of that, Arkansas needed this win, and it was not a guaranteed win, and it is a good win at Kentucky, at that environment. that is steps in the right direction. And that was my overall take on it. I don't know if we're going to make the tournament. I don't know if we're going to win. How many more games we're going to win from there. And we'll get into that after you talk about your take on the game and everything and all the emotions going through it all. But like, just after winning that game for me, it's just like, okay, let's see what happens next, but let's enjoy this win. Like, enjoy this win. You just hate to see those BBN fellas. I mean, we tried to tell them. Cope with Pope. We tried to tell. Oh no! Oh, did I go there? Using their quotes here, or the quote from BBN is, "We tried to tell y'all. We tried to tell y'all." It's so sad that this happened to Kentucky. You really feel for those Kentucky fans, don't you? All right, Sid, it's your turn. It's your turn.
Man, just this game being away and winning it away, I think it was just the best thing that could have happened. And I think that the momentum that this team got from this game, the kind of not even momentum, what I'm thinking of is like the victory, almost like that feeling of accomplishment, the feeling of confidence. That's the word. I think they just gained, I'm hoping, but I think that's for sure, that they gained a lot of confidence from this game that, hey, we can go wherever and we can win wherever.
And confidence in each
especially
other.
If we can win at Kentucky, we can win other places too.
Right.
Like, and I know we got big games coming up, but like, I think this is what we needed in that, to build that confidence up. And I'm hoping I'm right, but I'm hoping this isn't just a fluke, a fluke, and where Coach Cal's like, hey, I don't care what happens the rest of the season. I want you to beat these guys.
Yes. That's exactly how I feel, man. It's like, this was awesome. This gives us more confidence as fans. It gives us more excitement. But man, it's like, we are not going to sit here and pump sunshine up everybody right now and say this team is going to the NCAA tournament. This team is winning out. This team is beating Bama on Saturday. This team is doing. We are not saying that.
No, we're still.
We're just excited about this game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I texted you after the game. I was like, still unsure.
Still unsure.
Still unsure.
We need to see some more.
Happens.
Yeah,
need to see some more and need to get on a roll here to even make the tournament. I think to be able to make that a possibility. I think at this point we have a lot of SEC games coming up, so I think.
And it's a tough conference.
I know
it's a tough conference.
We talked about it before the season started. It's going to be a tough road, and with these team, like I think this happened. I mean, we've had Nick Smith out. That's what happened. And Boogie Fland out. As much as I wanted to see him,
right?
It feels like kind of in that same ballpark, and where this amazing player I want to see more of, unfortunately gets hurt.
He goes
and
out.
We cannot get to see that, right?
Yeah.
And we may never do it again because he might still make the NBA or whatever.
Right.
But I think the way that you're able to kind of work through that and gel together, and they still accomplish a W from that, is just a huge boost in confidence. And I'm hoping that translates to the rest of the SEC games that I talked about that are coming up.
Because there's some tough ones.
Like if we beat Bama, I mean Auburn, one of these guys that are the top 10,
right?
Even A&M.
Well, and with it being so tough, like if you can just pull out a couple of those, if you can beat Alabama at home, if you can beat Auburn once, if you can beat A&M once, you can redeem yourself against LSU.
Right.
It's
any given game. It's not, don't worry about what happened in
your
the past
losses
game.
Aren't going to hurt you moving forward too much, unless you like lose everything. If you lose out, it's not going to help you. But like, it's such a tough conference. I really think that there's a good possibility you're in if you hit 7 wins in the conference play. Like if you hit 7 wins with Arkansas' schedule, with a win at Kentucky, and hopefully Kentucky gets it together. I don't really like rooting for them, but at the same time, we do kind of want Kentucky to do good so that win at Kentucky at Rupp holds value at the end of the year, because we may need that. If we only get 7 conference wins, we're going to probably need that.
Yeah. And we need these guys, especially we're close enough where the conference plays that we are getting, we can get them to our level. We can bring them down. We have the opportunity. So take it. Like Mizzou, Florida, all these guys I know they're a little farther ahead than us right now, and we only get one opportunity to beat them, but like take that opportunity to not
get a couple of
kind
them.
of give it to them and like let them have it and kind of gain that extra inch on us.
Yeah.
Kind of bring them down to our level and bring us up.
Help beat all of them, man.
Exactly.
And with how you played, I mean, I think it's on the table. Like it's on the table. Texas is a winnable game, and I will be at that game. I do live in Austin, Texas. Very excited. Got these tickets a couple months ago, right before conference play started. And I was really stoked. And then conference play started, and I was like, oh no. It's like, oh no. Oh man. And then Texas was looking bad too, and now they've kind of figured it out. Arkansas is figuring it out. 2 teams that are figuring it out right now are battling. It will be really interesting. I don't think it's the end of the world if Arkansas loses, but it's definitely a step back.
I think it's going to be a letdown. I will say,
yeah.
I know it's not an end of the world, but it's going to be a huge letdown.
It's going to be a step backwards. Because because if you lose to Texas and then Alabama, it's getting really bleak.
It's a big step backwards. And like you were telling me before the pod how big of an opportunity is these 2 games, because you could either get both. You have the potential to get both of these games. If you beat Texas, you have a chance coming back home in Electric Bud Walton Arena. You have a chance to compete with Alabama, and you could go 2-0 moving forward in the stretch. So be on a 3-game win streak. Yeah.
Or you can go 0-2. That's also on the table. You lose a close one to Texas, Tremont Mark hits a buzzer beater on you, gets the last laugh on us. That'd be totally Arkansas, right?
I think all Hawks fans are going to have their eyes on this one to see if their momentum can keep going.
100%.
With this, it's going to give a huge boost to the fans. Like I wouldn't say as much as Kentucky did, but it's going to be up there in terms of Hawks fans, because that's when we see 2 in a row, and that's when we're like, that's gonna be what kind of packs up that Bama game, and fans are gonna be packed in there and kind of want to watch that Bama game and the LSU game after that.
Right.
Is because of this Texas game. So I know it's not going to be easy.
That could be 3.
That could be 3.
You have the potential here, starting in Austin, to really change the narrative of your conference play.
And we know it's not going to be easy, but I honestly am predicting a battle, and a battle to the end where it's up in the air what happens. But like you said, Ross, a win, even a close battle win, is a boost to the fans, to the players, to everybody, and that this season's not over.
Right. And we got to remember here too, we all have short memories. And we remember what happened last game. And if we're coming off of a win, we're feeling good. This feeling could completely go away. All this optimism goes away if you drop it to Texas. Again, it's not the end of the world, but like Sid was saying, it's going to be a step back. It's going to be a letdown, because now fans are engaged and they're watching. And they are, they're excited and they're expecting a win now. Like Hog fans are expecting wins moving forward. They're not, let's not be naive and say we're expecting to win every game, but going into every game, we're expecting to be able to compete to win. And if in Austin is a very winnable game, very winnable. And then if you can somehow put it enough together to go to Austin and then beat Alabama and get revenge on LSU, that NCAA tournament is looking a lot better. It's
Yeah.
everything is a lot more in your favor.
Just I think find a way to win is the key word, because even close losses I think are not cutting it. It's not
No,
giving me any hope. We've had a lot of these close losses early in the season. We were like, okay, this is a close loss. We can still build from this,
right.
and we can learn. At this point, close losses are just as bad as getting blown out. Um, for me, just seeing that from this team. I want I'll take a close win, but close losses I think is equivalent to
It's
getting
going to be
blown out.
tough, especially if we lose two. If we lose
Hmm.
two, and then because of that poor momentum, poor morale around everything, there's going to be, if you lose two in a row, there's going to be a bunch of negativity around
So
the
what do you
program.
think in terms
In
of
the
that?
potential,
No, in
but
terms
but
of
one step further, real quick,
yeah.
if you go 0-2, 0-3 is now on the table, losing to LSU.
Hmm.
But yeah, go on. What were you?
Yeah, what do you think of that in terms of momentum? A close loss against Texas. Is it give you any hope? Does it versus getting blown out, or it's still an L in the
So
column
I still see progress if it's
at this
close
point in the
game.
season?
Look, we were really bad at the beginning of conference play. If they go and compete with Texas, it's not going to be like, oh, moral victory, yay. But it still puts me in perspective of I do still think they're an NCAA tournament quality team, meaning that I think that they can go and beat LSU. I think that they can beat. Do they play Oklahoma again? I don't think so, but they
Mm-mm.
play at Vanderbilt. They play Mississippi State. They play South Carolina. They play Texas again here in Fayetteville. Well, I said here in Fayetteville, but in
Here in Fayetteville.
Arkansas, yeah, where you are in Fayetteville.
Yeah.
LSU. Uh, it looks like we only play A&M once this year. That's interesting.
Hmm.
And that's a fairly winnable game.
I
Like the rest of
disagree
these
there, and I disagree there a little bit. I mean, I said earlier, a close win. I mean, a close loss
close loss.
at this point in the season, like against Oklahoma, a close loss. I had that's why it was like I had
Well, I,
no
I
hope for
think Texas is
Kentucky.
better than Oklahoma.
I think Texas is just as beatable as Oklahoma was.
Yeah, look. I don't think it's the end of the world if you lose to Texas, but it's a big step back. Like
Hmm.
I think you really need that one because it's very unlikely that you beat Alabama. If we're just being honest
Hmm.
here, it's very unlikely. Now,
Hmm.
if you can somehow split Texas and Alabama and lose to Texas and beat Alabama in some weird situation, if they lose to Texas and beat Alabama, I'll be okay with it because you know what?
Yeah,
You're
of
going to
course.
be you're going to be taking Texas back again to get the last laugh.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the end of the world if you lose to Texas, but again, yes, you do need to build momentum right now. A win versus Texas will put a little bit more relief and energy into Alabama game because if we
Hmm.
beat Texas, the crowd, they're going to be camping. They're camping outside Bud Walton Arena for that
Hmm.
Bama game if we beat Texas. Now,
For
if
sure.
we lose to Texas, there still may be campers, but it's going to be just one night instead of 2 or 3.
Hmm.
I mean, they're going to be piling up there Thursday morning. If they haven't already started, I don't really know. Maybe they already started, but like it's going to start getting crowded there on the streets outside of Bud Walton Arena if you beat Texas. And
For
that's
sure.
going to bring a ton of electricity. Coach Cal's team start cooking around this time of the year. But
I
again,
want
I
this
don't think
Texas
it's
game
the
for sure. I don't think it's the
but
end of the world. I get it. I agree.
but if you
I'll agree
lose
with
two
you.
in a row going into that LSU game with
Yeah.
all the negativity, there's going to be a bunch of negativity if you're 0-2 going into LSU that could turn that LSU game into a loss. So at the same time, I am kind of saying don't lose to Texas. Don't do
Hmm.
it. It's not the end of the world, but you really need this one. You really do.
Yeah. I can
Does
see
that make
0 and
sense? Like,
2.
does my
No,
rationale
it
kind of make
does.
sense?
It does. It's more likely that we lose to Bama if we lose to Texas tomorrow,
Hmm.
but it's more likely
We give Bama a game.
more likely we give Bama a game if we beat Texas
Right,
with the
right,
momentum. No, that makes sense completely.
right. And
And
then
I'm counting out LSU because LSU, I do think outside of
we
what
should
happens at
beat them
Bama, we
regardless.
should beat
We
them.
should. We
We
should.
don't
Now, does that mean
know.
we will? We were
None.
supposed to
Listen,
beat them on the road over there.
yeah,
We are their only win.
yeah. None of these games, though, that's what gives me hope against Bama and against these Auburn teams. Is none of these games are in SEC. I don't think it's a stacked team where hey, this team's going to win every single time.
Yeah.
Every team I think can be beatable. It's just how they finish the games, and that's what even the Kentucky game we had. We know how Arkansas played, and we were kind of ready for it to
Right. We were ready
um,
for it.
for them to give up, but that's what's going to matter in these situations where we play a Bama or we play a Auburn team. Where can we keep it? Can we keep that
Hmm.
um,
And
lead?
Cal can keep leads. Like, that is kind of interesting. I heard a phrase that was said about like Cal whenever he's up. He's known for massaging the lead and just kind
Mhm.
of massaging it and kind of just once you have that lead, they just kind of coast into the win. And watching, I know Kentucky just got blasted, but it looked a lot worse than it ended.
Mhm.
Again, I mean, it was at one point, I'm pretty sure they were down by 30. I'm going to double check on that. But they ended up losing by 14, or sorry, yeah, by 14. And I just want to double check. I think at one point, um, I don't know. It was close. I mean, it
Mhm.
got really close to 30, maybe 25 ish. Maybe that was where it was. But anyway, regardless, I think that Kentucky, they came back and they made it a ball game whenever it looked like that it was over. That didn't happen against Arkansas. Once Arkansas got up by double digits, they held it by double digits
Mhm.
and they let Kentucky dunk it at the end of the game.
Mhm.
Arkansas was up by 12 with like 30 seconds left, and they just let Kentucky dunk it. They let him in and let him score. Arkansas really won that game by 12 if we don't include that. It's like when in football they let
Yeah.
oh, well, I guess they didn't, but in football Tennessee let Arkansas score, but I guess it's not a relatable situation. Never mind. But anyway, Arkansas held their ground the whole entire second
It
half.
is kind of relatable. I got you. I know what you're saying. It's like kicking a field goal or scoring a touchdown when you're up 45
Right, right.
almost.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't
And
matter. Yeah.
except Tennessee in the game, Tennessee was the one that let Arkansas score. But I was trying to say, well, it's like Arkansas let Tennessee score, but that's not what happened.
Yeah.
but uh, but anyway, like at the end of the game, sometimes it's just like you kind of if you got this big lead in basketball more so than football, but in basketball, sometimes it's just like instead of putting yourself in position to foul, let him score, take the ball again, reset, and just run the
Mhm.
clock out and just don't foul and give them potential for a 3-point play or anything like that. They moved out of the way. He dunked it, and we won by 10. So
Mhm.
that gave me hope, as in there wasn't. It wasn't that Kentucky was down by 12 and then lost by 4. You
Right.
know, it was Kentucky was down by 14 and they lost by 10
Mhm.
because Arkansas let them get a dunk. So anyway, that gives me hope about all this, but we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we can do all these predictions. We don't know. I think you and I both agree, Sid.
It was
Texas
also
is
our
a
highest
big
scoring game.
opportunity
A high scoring game
in SEC play.
in SEC play by a good margin. Well, decent margin, but that was cool to see. That means that we can, because Bama's a high scoring team. I saw where constantly they're putting up 90 plus.
Hmm.
So in order to beat them, we're likely going to have to match that play too, and having to put up those numbers. So it was good to see that against Kentucky, we were able to kind of score more.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, putting up 89. Now, I
I
will
hope
say
to see that
this.
against Texas too, but
Kentucky's defense is nothing to write home about.
mm-hmm.
But this is a big opportunity. Regardless, at the end of the day, what we're trying to say is Texas is a big opportunity to really change the direction of things, get 2 back-to-back wins on the road, and go and compete with Alabama. Obviously, we want to win, and you should not be you shouldn't be being okay with losing, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, you also want to be like, okay, what gets us in the NCAA tournament? What puts us in a good position to run the NCAA tournament? And competing with Alabama will put you in the tournament if you come off of a win with Texas. Let's just say you drop Alabama, but you competed with them. It was close. It was a single-digit loss at home. Then you go and beat LSU. All of a sudden, your last 3 games, you beat, or last 3 games, you beat 2 teams, let's say last 4 games, sorry. Last 4 games, you beat Kentucky, you beat Texas on the road, you beat LSU at home, and then you you lost to Alabama at home. 3 for 4 is a good look. And that's a better look than what we were looking at 0-5, So that's the potential here.
Let's see how they play out one game at a time. Because clearly we're not great predictors.
Right. Yeah.
At the start of the season, we wouldn't have predicted this. So I think at this point,
yeah,
we just see it. We can guess and kind of all we want and hope for the best all we want. But I think it's going to be one game at a time, and I think that's going to be the thinking for all Hog fans. Let's see how the next one goes. Let's see how the
the
next
very least, go beat LSU.
Yeah.
If you lose to Texas, Alabama, and then you lose to LSU, it's going to be really hard to watch the A&M game, the Auburn game, all the rest of the games. Honestly, I'm going to watch them regardless.
Yeah.
But it's going to be tough. Texas is a big pivotal point. It's going to be crushing if they lose a close one. But again, I don't think it's the end of the world if you lose a close one. It's not good, but it's not the end of the world. Do not get beat by double digits against Texas. Mm-hmm. If you get beat by double digits, this team's not going to the tournament. I mean, if you get beat by double digits by Texas in Austin, you're not going to the tournament, and we should kind of start, acknowledging that that's just, it's probably just not going to happen this year, and kind of start getting ready for baseball season.
At a time. we were dug in a deep hole. I'll say this. And Kentucky was our first chip away to get out of it.
Yeah.
Now, one game at a time. It's going to take a lot to get out of that hole, but let's keep going one movement at a time. It's Texas, then Bama, then LSU. Let's just go. Not worry about these future games. Let's just get ourselves, keep climbing that ladder slowly by slowly. And who knows, this is SEC play. All these teams are going to be beating up on each other. Anything's possible at the end of the season. I think, especially right now, you just worry about yourself and your team in digging out of that hole.
Yeah. Well,
and Ross will be screaming as loud as possible to make that happen too.
Oh yeah, man! I'm going to be loud out there. I'm going to be
at least this weekend.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I guess tomorrow, maybe today, depending on if I post this tonight or tomorrow, as in we're recording this on Tuesday night. Today, if you're listening to it on Wednesday. But yeah, I'll be at the game. I'm going to be loud. I live in Austin. I'm around a bunch of Longhorn fans. I will be with some Longhorn fans for the game. It's going to be interesting. I want this game a lot. My family and I, we're kind of split. Half of us are Arkansas, half of us are Texas. So this is a very important game to me. But also, again, I think that this is a very pivotal point for the basketball program as well. it's going to be very telling where we're at, the outcome of this game. Sid, should we do a prediction for the next 4? What's your prediction?
Let's just
The next
go
4.
with Texas.
So we got Texas, Bama, and next 3. My bad, not next 4. The next 3. What's going to happen in the next 3? Do we go 3-0? Do we go 2-0? Do we go 1-2 or 2-1, 1-2, 0-3? What do you got? Game by game. Let's hear it.
Best case scenario, we all know 3-0.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
No, that's not happening. Worst case scenario,
it's gonna eat 5 jalapeno or 5 serrano peppers if we go 3-0.
Yeah, sure.
There's no way Arkansas goes 3-0.
Worst case scenario, we go 0-3.
Yeah.
I also don't think that's happening.
Okay. Sid will also eat 5 serrano peppers if we go. No,
we go 0-3.
I'm just kidding. I don't want to do that, jinx.
I think this is the scenario lies between either 1-2 or 2-1,
right?
As more likely to happen, and I think I'm gonna shoot a shot at that Kentucky game was a momentum builder and a confidence boost, and that we do get that 2-1. And Texas will win, and LSU will win.
Oh, you are taking Texas. You think we're going to beat Texas?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I know it's away, but I can see that as a momentum.
Okay. Interesting.
But 2-1 is my prediction.
Okay, so you're taking 2-1. Okay. You know, dude, I think we're going 3-0, man. I've seen enough to. No, I'm just kidding. No, I would love for that. No, I would love to see it. I'm going to be super excited if that happens. If we come off of a win over Texas again, I think that we can compete with Alabama. I don't know if that means we're going to win, but I think that we're going to be in a position to possibly win if we beat Texas. If you can't beat LSU, you're in trouble. So I'm with you. I think we at least get 1 win. And the revenge factor against LSU, regardless if we're 0-2 going into that game and the toxicity and negativity around, the team is going to want to do whatever they can to beat LSU.
I think 1-2 is for sure needed, but I don't think that's even going to be enough. So we'll see. See if that is enough at the end of the day. But
I will be really surprised if we go 0-3. I will say that. I do think that
nothing's going to surprise me anymore.
1 is not guaranteed, but 1 is very likely.
Yeah.
My prediction. I got to see it to believe it. I'm taking 1-2. I hate to say it.
Yeah. No, it's either.
I'm not convinced that we're going to go back to back and win. I thought that we had an opportunity against Georgia to get another back to back against Oklahoma, and that didn't happen. I'm not saying we are going to lose. I'm just saying that I want them to prove me wrong really bad. That's what I want to happen. I want them to prove me wrong. Just because I'm saying that I think they're going to go 1-2 does not mean I'm rooting for that. But what this team has done so far, they need to prove that they can win against. I would call Texas a lower middle tier. Like they're kind of in the middle of the SEC, but they're in the lower half of the middle SEC.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going on the road. They're going to take you seriously. You just went on the road to Rupp, had this huge situation. I know Kentucky lost again, but it's still. They're going to take you seriously. Tremont Mark was on Arkansas last year. He's going to take it seriously. Arkansas with Coach Cal, you're still the enemy. People are going to prepare for you, and they are going to show up. It's going to be tough. So I'm taking 1-2. The 1 win is obviously LSU. But I really hope I'm wrong. I'm going to be at the game like we've said 100 times, and I'm going to be super excited, super stoked. I'll post a story afterwards on the pod if we win. I'll post one even if we lose and kind of just talk about my thoughts. But hopefully it's after a win. and it's going to be excitement, and maybe I can drag some of my Texas family members into it a little bit and have a good time. But hopefully we take care of Texas, pack up Alabama, and then finish this three game ride with a win over LSU. Could you imagine beating Texas, beating Bama, and then losing to LSU? Like, what kind of world would that be, man? Would you take that over? Would you take that over going 1-2, or not? Sorry, beating only Alabama. Wait. Wait. How would this be? So
Texas and LSU,
and then or Texas and Alabama and losing to LSU, or would you take? Well, I guess
Texas and LSU and losing to Bama.
I guess there isn't another scenario that would be better than that. Never mind. I would take it.
Or no, yeah, I got you. Losing to Texas and LSU and just beating Bama, or winning Texas and Bama and losing to LSU.
Yeah. I guess that scenario. Yeah, I was getting all confused because I was like, wait, is that a better scenario?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which one would you take? Only a win against?
I mean, I still have to say beating Texas and Bama.
Yeah.
And losing to LSU. I'll take that.
I don't know where my train of thought was going. I think I had something good, but
it would suck that we lose. We'd go 0-2 against LSU,
right?
An unranked team, and whose only two wins would be against us.
I know.
But hey, we beat Texas, and we went on a 3-game winning streak, and hopefully we turn it around. But yeah, I think you'd have to take beating Bama and third-ranked team.
Yeah. I guess I was just thinking from the angle of losing to LSU twice, and then it sounded like a bigger deal than it actually.
It is a huge deal.
I guess so. Yeah. I guess I was on the right track.
Yeah.
But yeah, losing to LSU would suck. Losing twice. Let's just make sure that doesn't happen.
Cannot happen.
Beating Bama would be great. I think if you can find a way to beat Bama, that is obviously the best case scenario. Let's say that you only beat. Okay, this one's a better scenario. Only beating Bama or beating LSU and Texas and losing to Bama. Which one's better?
I would take. I would take still.
I think this is where I was trying to go originally.
We need the wins. I still would take Texas and LSU.
That's a good point. Yeah, you would need two wins over one really good win. Yeah.
We have other ranked. We have after the LSU game, we've got 3 ranked opponents coming up.
That's a good call. I think that's a good call. Yeah, get 2. At least get Texas, LSU. Circle those games.
Right now, we're just trying to climb the ladder up. So
right.
We can't dig out of a hole by just straight up jumping.
And then the 3 after that, at A&M, who's number 10 right now, at Auburn, who we all know is number 1 right now, and then you come back home against Mizzou, and then you play Texas. So we're not going to get too far ahead of everything right now. This has been a lot of fun. It's been a long one, but I hope it's been enjoyable for everybody because it's been a while since we've talked some Hog sports, and as you guys can tell, we are passionate about the Hogs. Us taking a break was not because we didn't have passion for the Hogs. Honestly, I was afraid of being too negative because I'm so passionate about everything and spewing out a bunch of anger towards everything. So I kind of needed...
going to this game has to be a W.
It has to, man. It has to. I'm hoping it does, but whenever I go in not expecting a win, sometimes it helps a little bit. If I go in there predicting a win, usually, and you know what? I'll say this too. I've been to 2 Arkansas-Texas games.
Mm-hmm.
Texas has won both times. Third time.
Uh-oh.
This is the 3rd time.
3rd time's a charm.
So
I've heard that saying.
We'll see what happens. I'm not going to say anything. You said it, buddy. I'm not going to say anything. But there's a possibility that the luck does change. Possibility, maybe. There's an opportunity there, and I'm excited, and I hope I'm there to see things turn around and to later down the road, a couple years from now, talk about, hey, remember that great year that everything turned around, and it started with Kentucky, and then they came to Austin, And that's really when things turned around. That's what I hope to be talking about 2 years from now about this team.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, anyway, Sid, is there anything else you want to add? Because it's been about 45 minutes on this recording. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I think people are probably tired of us hearing talking about the same thing by now. So I'll just say this: let's get a W. Let's get the momentum. Let's keep the momentum rolling, and then we'll talk about it again. And we want to continue talking about the Hogs because we love the Hogs. So
Yeah.
let's get more wins.
Yep. Let's get more wins. Man, dude, if we start winning some games, this podcast, stay tuned, man. We are going to pump everybody up and we are going to be stoked. We're going to be excited. We may have to take a break if things get ugly because I don't I'm telling you guys, it's not because we're not passionate. It's because of how passionate we are that we don't want to pump a bunch of negativity and keep talking about negative stuff. We want to pump this program up. We want to be excited. And so that's why we're back. And I guess with that, Sid, are you ready to head on out of here?
Let's do it.
All right. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Go Hogs, horns down, and let's hoop. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. Again, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to our channel, and commenting down below. We'll see you guys in the next video.